Welcome back, everyone, to another Glory Reds FC episode. And I'm sure you're wondering why is Ben excited like this? Why is Benito excited like this? Nah, man, my boy is back in the building. Pastor D. Boom, 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 boom.
Pew, 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 pew.
What's good, my guy?
Brian, you know, it's so funny, man. Like, I actually wanted to do that. The whole pew, 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 pew. Like, I don't believe he did it.
My
So that's
dude.
exactly what I wanted to do. Jeez.
Welcome back, dog. It's been lonely. It's been lonely, man, in the studio, bro. It's been lonely. And we have to get into some stuff. You know what? I would have done a solo reaction, but communicating with you and then you keeping me updated with how you were doing, I just felt like, let's just give our people what they want. Let's give it to them. My boy is back. I'm excited. I'm about to go down.
Hey, man.
D.
Yeah, man.
Let's not even waste time. Let's jump right into it.
Straight into it.
So, the match reaction against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to apologize to our listeners and to our fans out there because I was pushing the movement of the turnaround. And I will still say, to a certain extent, I still believe in it. It was just unfortunate. That goal was just another banger. You couldn't, that one, I don't care who you are, Alisson, whatever, you are not stopping that banger. True. It was just one of those things. If anything, that game should have ended 0-0. It deserved to be 0-0 because the way I looked at it, yes, Crystal Palace had their big boys. They had their guys back in there. They were a completely different team. But I feel like we could have done much more. We could have done better. And the way we performed, actually, to a certain extent as well, we deserved that loss. Considering that the guy was able to hit that banger, we deserved to lose. True. But, man, I was I was annoyed. And I was also, I took some good things out of that game. But, welcoming you back, my guy, I'm leaving the floor.
Yeah, man.
Man. People are waiting to hear your sermon. Can you just preach to our people? Preach to them.
Thanks for having me back. Thanks for having me back, guys. It's been a minute. And I'm not going to lie to you. I think I speak for all United fans that after the match, I couldn't have been any more disappointed in this squad. Like, for me, it just felt like the last straw. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. I'm done giving excuses. I'm done, saying, because of this, because of that. Maybe if this happened, if that happened, Nah, man, this match was an absolute shamble. It was an absolute shamble. And we lost at a time when we didn't need to lose, and it's almost becomes a thing of United that of late, every single match has become a match that we shouldn't lose. You know what I mean? Every single match is always hanging by the thread. Even this Galatasaray match, it's also one of those games. Why why do we always have to be like by the string hole? Why are we always going into these games where it's like we have to win otherwise, and we spoke about it even, before going into the match, like, we don't like hearing about these stats about, hey, this team hasn't done this and this, it just sets us up, for the worst to happen. But I just think the manner, again, like, in which we lost was just so disappointing. Because we could have done so much better, And I think the thing that shocked a lot of people was that lineup, like when the lineup dropped. Like, wow. And the funny thing is, when we're doing the preview, right, I did want to mention that I think he's going to use Amrabat as a left back because he used in the previous game. I wanted to mention it, but I didn't, because I didn't want to jinx it. I'm like, please, let Regulon be fit or well for him to start.
Yeah.
So when I saw him, I wasn't surprised. I really wasn't surprised. But then the others, I could. And the funny thing is, watching that match, I could sort of see the reasons why certain players that have been advocating for them to start are not starting. And it pains me to say this, but I could sort of see it with Pelestri during that match. I could sort of see it, and I'm like, okay, I see why Ten Hag doesn't start you. I see why he opts for the other options. You know what I mean? And this happened so many times when, players in the first team have been playing very poorly, and we've told ourselves that we need X player, Y player on the bench to be starting. And then when they do start and they do sort of get the run of games, we sort of come to this realization of, okay, this is why the manager does not want to start them. So Pelestri, for example, right, played well, but he was just making a lot of pointless runs. There was no thought process to the end product. It was just a lot of up and down, and this is just in general from all the players, but I could see it from him more in terms of the players that we want to start in that number 7 position. Just a lot of running around and not clear-cut, decisive end products. Just run, hit, and that was the majority of what a lot of the players were doing in that final third. There's no direction. We have no game plan. There's nothing that's happening. You watch the match and you're very clueless as to what's going on. Like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Are we playing possession? Are we playing counter? Are we using the wingers? Are we inverting? Like, we have a lack of a plan when we're going to certain games like this, And the players that we expect for them to step up and do what they're supposed to do are not doing it, i.e. Rashford, Rashford, very, very, very selfish in that game, very poor decision making as always, and he just looked like he couldn't be asked, A lot of individual players in that team cost us that game. And what's so bad, Ben, is that the B team, if you're to call it, that played Crystal Palace during the week, played way better than this so-called first team that played over the weekend. They look more structured. They look more of they had a game plan. They held the ball better. They played better between the lines, everything, And then what we got over the weekend was so disappointing. And albeit, yes, I do know Crystal Palace didn't make that changes as well. It wasn't the same Carabao team, so they were a stronger side. But apart from that, we should have done way better. And again, it's the thing. We are playing at home. Yes, we had lion's share of possession, but Crystal Palace were very fine sitting back and not getting possession of the ball. That was not their game plan. And again, you can see the difference in different teams when they are playing. You can see what their game plan is, even just watching 5 minutes of the match. Whereas us, no game plan. What's the point of us having lion's share of the possession and we can't do anything with it at all? We can't take shots at target. We can't score goals. We can't play in between the lines. We can't make any intelligent runs. Nothing. Just a bunch of people just running up and down the field with no game plan at all, And then subs as well. Man. You're just left scratching your head like, what's going on? Why are certain players still on? Why are certain players not being brought on? Why are certain players being brought on too late? What's going on? What's the plan? And that match, it just encompassed everything that's just going on at Man United. It just put out there, to display the wreck that's with the club, because that's exactly what we projected the weekend against Crystal Palace. We just showed them how much of a mess we are at that club. You don't even know where to start pointing fingers and saying who's to blame, because it just seems that no one can get it right at the moment. Players are not getting it right. The manager's not getting it right. The club is not getting it right. So you don't even know where to even start patching up these cracks, to fix the ultimate problem. Whether we need to bring down the whole wall and build a whole freaking new one because it seems there's just way too many cracks to patch and we've just run out of plaster. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
man, that match was it. Man, it was abysmal. It was abysmal. We should have taken the 3 points, and it was disgusting.
true.
After the final whistle, I was speechless. I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even know where to begin. It's like you just rinse and repeat the same conversation week in, week out. What's even the point of talking about it anymore? Because it seems like these issues, they keep persisting, and it seems like nothing is being done about it to change what's currently happening.
Ish, my guy. Welcome 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 back.
Woo, that's been on my chest.
My guy, how do you feel? Do you feel good? Like did that feel good?
It feels good, man.
Nice.
Lift
my
off
guy.
my shoulder.
I honestly think these players are letting the manager down. They really are. Also, I know this might sound weird, but when it started raining and pouring, I just saw that game just not happening. I just saw us not coming back. Like when I just saw that rain, I'm like, this is it. We've got players there that are trying to protect themselves from injury. We're not going to finish this game.
No.
That was already just one thing that really messed with my head. But then again, like you mentioned, when you compare the two teams that played against Crystal Palace, albeit we made changes and even Crystal Palace made their changes. You mentioned that the first game against Crystal Palace was much more structured. We were dominating that game, and then when we changed, and then this game, when I look at the people that actually came onto the pitch or into that team, there are only two. Bruno and
Rashford.
I think, and Lindelof, because Lindelof started this game, and that other game he didn't even start because Amrabat was still playing left back, but he had that position of where he goes in the midfield. I don't know what it is about Manchester United, but we always want to learn the hard way in order for things to be right. Like, I understand this whole thing that's going on with Amrabat, like our left back position. But then, when I think about the players that we've got there, like, truth be told, those guys can hold their own if you just put them accordingly at that back four without having to have Amrabat at the back, having that thing of being there. Because, as much as we don't want to admit it, but psychologically, he's always thinking about wanting to be in his left back position when we're being attacked and try to defend, when he should be focusing on trying to handle the midfield. So he's always on that 2-2 thing. And in as much as he can play all these positions, he's just not as comfortable. The Premier League is a different ball game. Probably was able to get away with it in the Serie A, these leagues that are very low where you can be in anybody, play any position and just still thrive. The Premier League outs you, so we need to put him back in his right position, which is alongside Casemiro. And then we have that situation. You know what I've been finding out? A lot of people didn't actually notice that Bruno had a very good game. I was listening to people, and some people were not really, they're saying that Bruno should be dropped. And I was like, really? Because the way I saw it, I saw Bruno because Mason Mount was in that team, right? And it was that field three of Casemiro, Bruno, and Mason Mount. In the first game, Mason Mount was playing with Casemiro and Hannibal. Hannibal was being the attacking, but he was also putting in a shift going backwards. This game against Crystal Palace, I don't know if you noticed it, but then Bruno was much more deeper in the game. He was playing. He was almost like those shadow players. Like, he didn't stand out. And I know people are gonna go in and start screaming on our Magnifico. But then when you look at his game by numbers, he was good. Like, his stats were all right. Like, he did his job. It just wasn't working. Then you go to people like Rashford. Rashford, from like the first minutes of the game, I was already annoyed. And it's funny how everyone now is noticing what is going on with Rashford. This thing we have noticed it a long time. We've mentioned it in this podcast like since the beginning that guys, something is not right with Rashford. And we're still insisting on putting, on this one, I am not even going to side with the gaffer. Like this part of me where I am very disappointed with my gaffer because, in as much as I trust him with my life and in as much as I trust that we need to give him the opportunity to make this team in his own image, to take control. But some of his decisions, man, no ways. Rashford is at this point now where he needs to be dropped. Like, continuing playing him and not getting the best out of him or not getting everything that we need out of it's really a waste of time because we're limiting all these other players that could come in and actually do the business. You understand?
Yeah.
I was also looking at that game and I was thinking, okay, you looked at Martial against the previous Crystal Palace. He looked good, like compared to this chemistry that, because I don't know if you've heard this, Rashford had this interview where he was talking about that he's standing behind with Højlund and they're practicing, trying to learn about each other, trying to study each other. But when you look at them at the pitch, I don't see that. Then you bring Martial, who is a natural player to just connect with people because he's a player that he blends in with people. He tries to make the game flow because that's how he plays. Martial had a very good game. He had a graveyard shift, yes, that previous game. But then when time came for him to take his opportunity, he did it. And he took it with a beautiful goal. I was just happy to see Martial. I'm not taking anything away from Højlund. I know that this is the manager's signing. But you know what? We are in the Premier League. This guy I don't want us to put all this pressure on Højlund. Let's switch and check with Martial because right now Martial is fit. Let's use him. Martial is that player that we know who he is. We use him until the wheels come off and then we repair him and then we wait.
Exactly.
It just is what it is. When he's in this fine run of form, we need to get him going. We need to make sure that we need to take advantage. And because you never know, he can get injured in training, in warm-up, and then it's like, so let's use him. Right now, for me, Højlund is not, with Rashford, it's not working. It really is not working. Højlund, Rashford, for me, I am not seeing the connection because I still see Rashford trying to do things all by himself when it's completely unnecessary. And the most annoying thing about Rashford right now is he only releases the ball when he has gotten himself into a jam. That's not fair. That is not fair because these players are making these runs and Højlund he kind of has a hint of bad decisions as well. Because of the time, I think, where he gave a pass that he shouldn't have given. I don't know if it was the Crystal Palace game, the first one, or the second one, or this one, because I'm kind of confusing them. It was Bruno on the right running with him, Rashford on the left. Bruno was the best option because we know Bruno would have done something, whether to either cut it back in or taking a shot. And no, 9 out of 10 when he's free in that corner that it's going in or he's making the pass. And he gave it to Rashford. Rashford then just turned back and just messed up that. I do not want Rashford near that first team. I want him benched. I'm sorry. You talked about Facundo Pellistri, and what you said was absolutely correct. And everything, I like to base everything based on the current circumstances. And when you think about the job that he did because he was even up against a better side of Crystal Palace. Yeah, it wasn't enough. Like, we know he's got the quality to do more. You know what I mean? But it wasn't. It was one of those days where it just didn't work. And the manager picked up on that and then tried to fix things. But then the first thing that he does is that he takes Pellistri, who I felt, even though he wasn't doing a shift, he was still putting a better shift than Rashford. He was still trying to make those runs, trying to bring the ball in, trying to get in with the players. So he takes Rashford, he takes Facundo out, brings Garnacho in. Garnacho goes on to the left. Rashford disappears into the right. Like he just goes ghost mode, ghost recon. Rashford is gone. What was the point? Like, okay, I get it. Like, we know Rashford is a moment player, but right now Rashford is just not ticking. Then he really gets him out, which I was a little bit pleased with. He could have taken him out earlier to give him the chance for players to come in that thing. So man. Rashford, I'm not happy. Højlund, that connection, something is not right. I think we should just stick with Martial right now, who's actually hot. And another thing, the defense. Dalot will not have a good game if the winger is not having a good game. So hence, Facundo had an okay game against Crystal Palace because the previous game he was ticking. And it worked with Dalot. Dalot needs somebody who works well with him. So I'm worried about that. Because now Anthony's coming back. Anthony's been training. He and Dalot, I don't know if they've had a successful, maybe him coming back, the good feeling factor, maybe they'll try and do us a good one. I don't know. But then we've not really had a successful partnership between Anthony and Dalot. It's worked for Anthony and Wan-Bissaka because Wan-Bissaka knows his place. He knows what he's capable of and what he does and brings in. So it worked in a weird way. So I'm worried about that. I really, really am. And then obviously, of course, with Amrabat playing out of position because we can really get the best out of him. True. One thing I am worried about Amrabat is that he's a little bit petulant. You know, he's a little bit of a shithouser. He got away with a lot of things. I like it. I like seeing players like that. You know, it's refreshing. But hey, he needs to watch out because the Premier League have got Hawkeyes. The Premier League doesn't play. They book people. They send you out. They don't play. So apart from that, But man, the substitutions, man. This game. How did you feel about them?
Man, I think just like what you said, a little too late. Some players should have definitely been brought on way earlier than other players. And I think, you know, overall it could have made a little bit of a difference, maybe. I think ultimately what just killed us, and I don't like using this as excuses, but you know, the weather of course played a huge part, the rain. And I think also like that goal, because when they got the goal, obviously the weather conditions were not like that. You know what I mean? So it just became way difficult for us, you know, to get something in those type of conditions, and also given the way that we were playing. And the one thing that irritated me is that with Crystal Palace, they took advantage of the situation. So you would find them every time they had I don't want to say clear chance of goal, but when they were in range of goal, they were taking shots. You know what I mean? Banking that the ball would slip and divert or whatever. You know what I mean? They were taking their chances. Whereas we didn't do that. You know what I mean? We're not taking shots or taking chances when we're in the final third to say, okay, we're in shooting range, let's take a shot. Let's try to use the weather to our advantage. Whereas Crystal Palace were doing that a lot of the time when the ball's in their favor. So, man, the substitutes, man, I think Ten Hag just really needs to improve on his decision making in terms of substitutes, in terms of who comes off first, you know, and who is he going to bring on. I get it. I get the whole Rashford thing of, you know, at a spur of a moment he can change the game, but I think it's just got to that point where, man, he's just not doing it. You know, he's just not doing it. And players like Garnacho should have been brought in way earlier for Rashford in that match. You know, Martial should have come in way earlier. The midfield as well. Eriksen should have come in more earlier just to get more stability, more bodies in. You know, and like I said, like because we had the lion's share of possession, all right, and we've got very good centre backs. He could have just opted for just having three at the back and bringing Amrabat into the midfield. Because we never really had a threatening player coming off that right-hand side, you know. And like I said, we had the lion's share of possession, and Crystal Palace were not willing to leave their lines to go and get that ball. You understand what I mean? So those type of tactics in the game should have played a part, but he always wanted to consistently keep a back four. Whereas I feel that he should have just kept with the back three, Dalot, Varane, and Lindelof, and then just told Amrabat to come in the midfield with Casemiro to free up Bruno more with the forward players. Again, those things. Anyway, look, I'm not the manager, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to say?
No, it's crazy because when you look at it, we lost, and then you look at the stats. The stats also are a little bit, you could say debatable, because when you look at the game, a lot of the things didn't work, because you look at we had the lion's share of possession, but when you looked at exactly what we tried to do with that possession, it was diddly squat.
Exactly.
So there was nothing that we really, really produced with that. However, if you look at the whole scope of it, that's the way the manager wants to play. Either that or Crystal Palace were like, yo, listen, we've got our goal. We can sit back and defend. You guys come and do your thing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That was it.
And one thing that I've got a problem with our manager, that's the thing that annoys me or irritates me. And I hate to say this because I'm not trying to get anybody in a frenzy or anything like that. This is just a personal thing. You see, he's thinking when it comes to his substitutes. We pay attention to our manager. He says when a team is winning, like let's say we're winning 3-0, he'd rather keep that same team to play the whole game and finish. Which, okay, cool. Now you play against the team, now we are losing. And it's every time when we are losing where he makes substitutions that just don't make sense. It's always when we are losing. Are you trying to say that these people that you're trying to bring in are going to change the game? I honestly think that kind of thinking is flawed, because it's almost like trying to make, when we are winning, this is an opportunity for you to rest players that we are, because we have this situation where the team is injuries, for a lot of games, resting players. We're winning 4-0, 3-0, 60 minutes. You take out some substitutions just so that the game can progress. We try to just maintain that. We're not trying to do anything more. If we score, that's a bonus.
Exactly.
A tough game where your A team, the people that you picked in to start, have failed. And then you look at the bench. The bench is not that, the drop-off is huge. And then you want these guys to come and make a difference. Does that make sense? It makes absolutely no sense.
Exactly.
Throwing those people into the deep even more. That's what we're going to get the conclusion. That's when you start seeing all these mad substitutions. You start seeing him taking out both center backs. And we're like, Gaffer, what are you trying to get at? Maguire came on and he was a forward. He was playing sort of in front. Those things don't make sense to us. We don't get that. What are you trying? What message are you sending to us? And then you look very calm and all blasé and I get it. I love my manager. I really do. But man, we're not dumb. We're not stupid. We see what we see and it's not making sense. 1 + 1, it looks like 10. This is not making sense. We are seeing Rashford not performing. You're still backing him. I get it. He's your star man. But homeboy hasn't scored in a while. And the stats are proving. And you're saying that now we know Rashford is going to come back, score goal. We know the moments. Fuck that. We need people to come in and do this thing. It's even good if he can get to rotate the team. We have a lot of games. These guys don't have to play every single game. Rashford needs to sit there and think about his mess. Think about his game. What is it that he's not getting right? What is it that what's not clicking? Because it's not clicking and we see it.
Yeah.
And the manager keeps on bringing him. Nah, man, that part for me, I'm not going to back him. I'm not saying Eric Ten Hag out. No ways.
No.
But we just needs to make us understand this situation.
Exactly.
Because he's not performing, man. Yeah.
You know what's the funny thing, right? This statement literally has a double meaning. Like we looked like we didn't play. Some of the players who didn't play for a week looked like they didn't play for a week.
Which is weird because
you know what I mean.
Should we give them game time so that they stay sharp?
Dude, like you rested for a week. Why were you not looking sharp? You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, why were you not looking sharp? You know what I'm saying? Like it's so weird.
It was weird, bro. Like,
and the part I think that really like frustrated me throughout the whole match. I'm like, what was the point? What was the point of you sitting down, benching on Wednesday? What was the actual point of you not playing week? If you're still going to come back and do the same nonsense. Because we're out here thinking that now you need a rest. You've been playing a lot of games, international, Premier League, Champions League, You're getting your week break. Cool. You know what I mean? We're expecting bangers. We just need to come there for rest.
When we see other teams rest their players, we are just like, damn, like we wish we could do that so that our guy can come fresh. We do it. It's like, dololo. Like,
what's the point?
Like, what was the point? I was so annoyed. I was like, and in the back of my mind, like, I am still that dreamer, that united. I still have that naivete about myself where I'm like, listen, man, I hope you guys just, you guys always used to have that one game. Like, can we build on something? And then I just hope. And then when the game goes on and I'm like, you didn't even waste time to just tank the spirit. Like you did. Like you put me back in my place. Thank you very much. I will be watching this game with my ass clenched the whole damn time. It's not fair. I hate it. I hate it.
And it's so bad when you're watching and opportunities are not even being created. You just and the opportunity just to go early in the game, and then the rest of the game, you're just watching the ball being kicked around the field. No opportunities being created. No like moments of almost nothing. Like it's just zilch.
It's almost like we're giving Crystal Palace a pass because we beat them.
Yeah, man.
We're feeling sorry. Nah, bruh.
3 points. Go enjoy yourself.
There was something that I just wanted to squeeze into this podcast. The refs, man. The refs.
Yeah, no, the refs this weekend were atrocious. Atrocious.
These guys have created a monster on their own. And
they have.
It has taken its own shape and they can't control it. And we knew that this was coming. We said keep an eye out on these refs. They've smoked something. They've smoked some daha there that side.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. And we were expecting this, D. Have you seen the madness that's going on?
Yeah, no, this past weekend it was at its peak. It was at its peak. I couldn't believe the decisions. The decisions were outrageous. And the red cards, the offsides. The funny thing is, man, I remember this one game I watched, and I'm like, there's no way this is offside. Not this past weekend. It was, I think, last season or early during the season, something like that. They drew the lines, and I'm like, these lines don't make sense. You know what I mean? Like when you look at it, you're like, these lines are not making sense. These guys are capping. And then this weekend when Luis scored his goal, what made me laugh was the commentator himself was like, nah, fam. Nah, that's not offside. These guys have just drawn imaginary lines because from this angle, you can clearly see Luis is onside. How they're bending this line, I have no idea. But nah, man, these guys are just the sloppiness is just ridiculous. Like us were Liverpool rivals, but man, you can feel sorry for teams, man.
Yeah.
You can feel sorry for teams and just be like, what's this? Dude,
you're losing 1-0. And this is your opportunity to equalize and get the spirit up, and then they call it off.
And then they come days afterwards and go, Hade, my bad, sorry.
The spin. I was like, whoa. Like, what's so chilled about it? Like, no, he's not
our bad.
The guy gave the goal.
You know what I mean? Fam, get real. get real.
Real, man.
Real.
No,
I've always told myself, like, I don't know how the fans contain themselves at the stadium, because if I was at the stadium,
they have to. They have to. They have to.
If I was holding something, I was going to look for that VAR freaking office station and just freaking I'll be like, are you guys mad? Are you guys mad?
These
guys, they're not serious.
They are not serious.
And I just hope something gets done like sooner rather than later, because we've obviously had our fair share of it, but just because of how our season is going, I just feel like it's gonna come at a moment where we just don't fucking need it to happen.
Bro,
we're gonna go and play a game that's gonna be very fucking decisive, and then VAR is just going to shank us. And I promise you, man.
I am more concerned.
Refs are not safe.
I am more concerned with our players and receiving cards, bro. Like, that's the thing that worries me. Like, that's the thing that kind of gives me sleepless nights, because you look at Casemiro, for example.
Yeah.
Bro, already Casemiro has gotten away with a lot of things that if you look at how lucky we are.
Yeah.
Like, considering the refs have given red cards and double yellow cards for certain things in other games this season.
Yeah.
We have gotten away with it. And I don't think we're going to keep on getting away with it. It's going to catch up with us. These guys are going at the rate that they're going, these refs. It's going to catch up with us. And that is my fear. Getting suspended players. Liverpool, bro. How many red cards? Like, bro, I'm feeling them. Like, I'm literally feeling them. 3. 3
so far, yeah. But that game it was 2.
Then Alistair, and then now Curtis Jones. Like, how?
The Curtis Jones one,
bro,
shocked me. When they gave the red for that, I'm like,
Jota, double yellow.
Safe. Fam, I'm like, we're not safe here. I don't understand the decision making. I honestly don't understand. You know what, man? Apart from the review that they show on the screen, they need to have a teleprompter of what they're saying. We need to see it, like script by script, of the conversation that they're having, and we need to hear and read their motive to why they're actually allowing that, why they're giving that decision.
Yeah,
because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they need to bring TMO.
They need to
rugby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Release the script.
That
we want to see, to read. What are these guys saying? What their mouths for them to be no, reckless challenge, red card. Because, you know what I mean?
You know what?
And I'm like, his foot rolled over the ball.
Yes.
Like what?
But my guy,
man.
that thing,
you
know, that tackle when they showed it slow mo, and even when it did go in like when it was fast, because there was that and then you heard Bissouma go and I'm like, when they went back and I looked at it, for me personally, I think that one is debatable.
Yeah.
I get that. I understand how people can see that it couldn't have been a red card, but at the same time, I can also see how it could be a red card, because even at first
I can see how.
Like when it was being played, like when we first saw it in real motion, there was a clattering and there was a scream. It was there, and then it was like, okay, let's check how it is, and then we look at how slow motion and how it looked. Then you start to have the argument that he went over the ball, whatever. But then the clattering, my guy.
Look, I get it. Like, at worst case, it's a foul, right? But I don't understand how we have VAR and still have a debate, because VAR was introduced to remove the debate. So if we're still going to have VAR and still going to have a debate, then what's the point of having VAR?
One time.
Because the debate is, we don't know what this was. Sharp, we go to VAR. VAR shows it, and now we've got a clear decision.
Yeah.
So how can we still be debating after seeing VAR, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I 100% agree that he should have got something for it, not a card. Give him a yellow, give him a foul. I can understand, but a straight red, nah, fam, Nah, what's the point of VAR then?
That's
What's
true.
the?
And
You understand what?
you know what's the funny thing about VAR? I'm sorry, we are taking another left. Please forgive us,
Yeah.
bear with us. But then you know another thing about VAR. VAR is so strange in the way I look at it. I think of it as a secret society, as a mafia, because
Yeah.
you look at situations where they say that these kind of situations VAR needs to intervene. Like it
Yeah.
needs to be like, oh, hold on, let that game play on. Yeah, let it stop, then stop. There was an incident. They pick and choose incidents, and sometimes they
Yes.
leave it to the ref. And then there are
Yeah.
incidences when they cannot figure it out, it's almost like they don't intervene and then leave it to the ref, and then the ref will make a decision based on being left to be the last one to make the decision, and then he'll get
Yeah.
sick for it. But when you look at that situation, you'll be like, but no, VAR could have had a say in this thing. They could have made it really, they could have emphasized it. They could have been like, no, the ref did make the right call. This is why, and this. But then they'll just leave the ref hanging. And it's, man, VAR is pointless. Like, it's getting to a point now where it's just messing with the game. We're now focused more on refs.
Exactly.
Like, what the hell?
What's unreal?
Where are we? Like, the refs want their little 15 minutes of fame for what? We want them accountable for the decisions that they make on these pitches, like on these games.
Yeah.
These games. They shouldn't be sitting here looking like rock stars, like some secret, like thou holier than thou. I'm not buying that stuff, man. I'm sick and tired of these referees, and it's only going to be worse from now because they make a mistake and it's like Hardy. Like, are you for real, Hardy? Like, sorry, you've cost us points. What do you mean, Hardy?
Bruh, nah, man. What are we supposed to do with that? You know? But yeah.
Oh man, but
otherwise,
yeah.
Yeah, man. That was our match reaction. Plus a bit of VAR.
Yeah, man. It felt good to have you back.
Thanks.
We have another cracking game today, so we are going to jump on to the next and give our people what we should think, what we are thinking, and what we assume will happen. And God forbid it doesn't. They know that we had our say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Most def.
Yeah, man. But Dee, since you're back, I think it's only fair that you close this one, like the usual, like you always do.
Yeah. All right. So thank you once again for listening to this podcast episode of Glory Reds FC. You can catch us on your favorite podcast and streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Zencaster, Castbox. Catch us everywhere. Visit our website, gloryredsfc.co.uk. Follow our community pages, our social media accounts, and join our Premier League fantasy group. And we'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you once again for listening to us, and we out. Peace.